Hi, this is Dominic Keating. I played Lieutenant Malcolm Reed on Enterprise, as you probably know, and you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast.
Well, hello. You're listening to transmissions from the NX 7062. And how is everybody this evening? I am so excited to be here. Glad to be back with you. I apologize for last week. I honestly just was not in a good place. Part of it had to do with the fact that y'all know that the last time I saw you, I said I was taking General Zod to go see the vet, and unfortunately, the news was not good. He's got a lump above one of his eyes. I was hoping it had to do with all the congestion he'd been suffering. Unfortunately, the vet seems to think that it is probably cancer. Unfortunately, he's doing well. He's still himself. We've got him on some steroids and some other things to hopefully make him feel better and just be comfortable. But like Dave was talking about, anybody that has pets knows that cost is just, oh my gosh. It's expensive enough just to get the diagnostic test, but then to get him treated would be, it's just, yeah. So this is the course we're taking right now. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd get him the best treatment possible, because the problem is they couldn't remove it. If they could remove it, I'd consider doing something more drastic, maybe if I could put the money together. But where it is, he'd have to go through radiation. And his foster mom, I'm still in touch with his foster mom, and she said she's been there with a cat. And it's, how do you put a cat through that? How do you, it's, when you're a human, it's bad enough, radiation. But when you're an animal and somebody can't explain to you why you're being hurt. So thank you, Dave. Yeah, I was just not in a good place last week. There was that, and there were some other things going on. But I am here now with all of you amazing people. Happy St. Patrick's Day, or Captain Patrick Stewart Day, or however you want to look at it. But Erin go bragh. I actually have a friend from Ireland who I met at my very first STLV. In fact, I should be wearing the sweat jacket she got me, but I wanted to wear this one because it's a little looser. If I want to take it off, it's a lot easier. This is my property of NX. Oh, there it is. It's my property of the NX-01 sweat jacket. I have a official Star Trek sweat jacket downstairs that Claire got me, actually, in trade for the fact that we are together in our picture with William Shatner. Back then, Creation gave their volunteers, technically we weren't volunteers, we got paid, and on top of that, they gave us 50% off coupons for a bunch of stuff, for anything basically that Creation was selling. So we, Claire and I, used our 50% off coupon, got the Shatner, hi Lasso, got the Shatner down to half price, and then split the cost of that. So I got a professional photo up with William Shatner for $25. I paid the $50, so Claire just paid me back in a sweatshirt and a sweat jacket that she got for me with one of her 50% offs. So there you go. It was awesome. So speaking of William Shatner, he is absolutely on the docket for tonight. I did throw together a list of everybody I could think of. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I wanted to concentrate mostly on the television, either they were, it was their series, like TJ Hooker, or they had a solid recurring role. And I kind of looked, and it's funny because I was thinking, there's the obvious, like I said, like Shatner, TJ Hooker. Then he also was a recurring character in Third Rock from the Sun. He played the big giant head. Nobody meets the Shat for free. Nobody meets the Shat for free. That's how that works. Oh, I should say, unless you tag along with somebody that's paying for an autograph, then you get to meet the Shat for free. I did that too. So there's like TJ Hooker, Adrian Zmed, where do you hook up? That's right. Lasso actually will pay attention tonight because we're talking about TJ Hooker. Adrian Zmed. All right, Lasso, you can't answer this. Shh. But Adrian Zmed actually isn't just a talented actor. He is a talented singer and dancer. And if anybody can name me the musical sequel that Adrian Zmed was in besides Magic Lasso, you get a big credit. And I think Lasso would probably be really impressed too, because there was Lasso and I knew Adrian Zmed from something else before we even, I don't know about you, but I knew Adrian Zmed from something else. That's something else before I realized he was in TJ Hooker. The one, and it's funny, during my research, there's a Reddit that somebody asked the question. Yeah, I know. That's why I said, shh, Lasso. I ended up doing a search and there was a Reddit where somebody asked that question and somebody mentioned Tig Notaro. And I thought, oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. I didn't catch that, Lasso. That was one I didn't even catch. There's a hint. What are you, a cop? It's from the movie. And they mentioned something about Tig. Oh, just Tig with stand-up, but they were in this amazing show called One Mississippi, which was based on their life. And it's really worth watching. It's on one of the streaming services. Just go to IMDb, look up Tig Notaro. It's down there because they've done voiceovers and they've done a lot. But One Mississippi is fantastic. So well done. And so I highly recommend that. And that was their show. Leonard Nimoy was also on that list. And of course, they mentioned Fringe, which I had forgotten about. But let us not forget, he also hosted In Search Of. So these were, I mean, for the TOS cast, a lot of this came after. For the more modern casts, some of their really amazing work came before they got their roles on Star Trek, like Tig Notaro. Sonequa Martin Green got 2 amazing sci-fi fantasy shows back to back. One of the worst kept secrets. Once it was released that Sonequa Martin Green was going to be the lead in Discovery, everybody put 2 and 2 together and realized that she was leaving The Walking Dead, which sucked because she was such a fantastic character on The Walking Dead, but she really did have an amazing out. She turned herself into a zombie specifically because she wanted to see if she could attack and kill Negan, who was the nasty ass for many seasons. So she did this thing where she turned herself into a zombie knowing that the first person to see her was going to be Negan. It was amazing. And Negan, as we know, was played by, well, unless you're not a fan, Negan was played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played a Xindi on Carpenter Street on Enterprise and hated it. Yes, it really was a brilliant scene. Really well done. It was a great out for a much beloved character. And off topic, did you watch Wonder Woman St. Patrick's Day episode? It was actually on Saturday, and I caught most of it. So yes, I did watch it. It was on Heroes and Icons on Saturday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. There was a leprechaun in Wonder Woman. Pot of Gold was a great episode. Although that little kid was annoying. All right, so Avery Brooks. This is what's interesting. They didn't say, when I think Avery Brooks pre-Deep Space Nine, I think Hawk, who started on Spencer for Hire and then moved, I think, for 1 season to A Man Called Hawk. But that, to me, was his quintessential role outside of Star Trek. But somebody mentioned American X, which I had never even heard of, but obviously on his IMDb page. Nobody's answered my question yet. What musical was Adrian Zmed in? Come on, people. Don't IMDb it. That's cheating. If you don't know, I'm going to let Lasso tell you in a little bit. Honorable mention to Babylon 5. That had too many Trek alumni to list, but I think it's more fun to see Trek alum out in street clothes and playing modern characters than moving into another sci-fi. Not that that's not awesome. I mean, look at how many people... Oh, hey, Vader. Look at how many people made it into... the Orville's doing the same thing. they're inviting a bunch of Trek actors into it, but that's also Brandon Braga is also an executive producer, so that's kind of a no-brainer. Waiting for more Enterprise, people. But yeah, Babylon 5 gets mentioned. I'm just not going to sit here and go down the entire list of everybody that's ever been on Babylon 5. Same for Stargate. Same thing. Huge list. LeVar Burton, of course, his amazing turn as Kunta Kinte in Roots. It was either Roots or Reading Rainbow. I think that's where you knew him from before you saw him as Geordie LaForge. Shatner, I said TJ Hooker, Third Rock. And of course, my favorite, in case you guys haven't guessed it, because I mentioned it on the show before, my absolute favorite non-Trek role for any Star Trek actor has to be Desmond's with Dominic Keating in a, I want to say regular role. He was in it for all but the last season, and they replaced. I tried to talk to Dominic about this. I don't think I ever got. I sort of did, but it's hard to talk to somebody at a convention. Just, one of these days, maybe I get a quiet moment with him. Maybe if John does the cocktail party again and he goes, because I wanted to talk to him about this. He left, and they did what all series tend to do when the original kids start to age out of being cute, or just age out to the point where it's hard to write for them anymore because they're older. They got a kid. They got a 16-year-old to come in and replace him. So, and he wasn't nearly as good or as funny. And no, that is not my biased opinion. If you watch Desmond, you will understand. And it is available on regular Amazon Prime. You do not need a BritBox subscription. And it's such a great show. It doesn't matter whether he's in the episode or not. I still love watching it. He talked about it in that 4-part series for the Shuttlepod show. He talked about it a lot. We've talked about it. In fact, the Shuttlepod show live happened around the same time that one of the guest actors had just passed away, and we were talking about it because she was a fantastic. The actress was fantastic in the role. So we talked about that a little bit. But if you love British comedy, I highly recommend Desmond's. It's great to watch Dominic do a comedic turn because he's really great at it. So, like I said, Desmond's, Amazon Prime. It's fantastic. Wilson Cruz, speaking of amazing performances, Wilson Cruz in My So-Called Life. Never watched the show. I was sort of, I wasn't the target audience, so I never got involved. Hold on a second, guys. Come here. Come on. Oh, the ever elusive Darth Vader. You guys are finally going to get to see him. Look at the camera, babe. This is my Darth Vader, who I adopted a few months back, as you may know. Back when I was searching for a dog, I ended up going to a shelter, kind of looking for a dog, but ended up with this love bug, which makes sense because his name was Darth Vader when I picked him up. He's a senior cat. He's 14. He does not act like it. And I'm just glad that he was close enough that I got him to come over and appear on cat. He's doing the best with LeBeau, by the way. He seems to be the most tolerant. Whereas Zod is just a hiss fest and everybody else is a little scared of him, but I think Dom was surprised I watched it. Yeah, I think he's to Dave. Yes, it's great, Dave, and you should watch it again, or we'll watch it in Vegas. We'll make it part of the watch party because I'm not sure Wendy's ever seen it either. Don't you love how I have these little private sidebars? Yeah, I think he gets a little. I think there are other things you can mention to him that he would be really surprised by. But yeah, I'm not sure he realized because he came to America right after, and I don't think he realizes that how much we love British comedies over here, and that it was readily available. I think it was actually, if I remember correctly, oh my gosh. Why am I blanking on her name? Oh, age sucks. One of the sci-fi sisters that I'm very good friends with, and I hate myself for not remembering her name. She had mentioned that it was airing, I think, on BET at the same time it was airing. She got to see it as it was happening. I think it was airing on BET at the same time that it was airing over in the UK. Oh my God, I'm going to shoot. I can't believe I can't remember her name. Like I said, age. Come here, Vader. You're sitting on my paper, baby. See, the day I brought him home, I just they give you that cardboard box. You know, you show up not expecting to adopt a cat. They'll give you a cardboard carrier to take him home in. And just from day one, he came out of the carrier, wandered around, and just ended up curling up with me on the couch. Terry Farrell is another one that I absolutely love. She did Becker with Ted Danson, and I actually got to tell her when I saw her in New Jersey. Yvette, thank you. It was Yvette. Yvette Blackman. Dave, I can't believe I forgot her name. Oh my God. Don't tell her. It was Yvette. She and I talked about it a couple years ago when we were hanging out at the pool. I think it was at Bally's. I think we talked about it. Didn't know Sabrina watched it, but yeah, it's fantastic. But I did get to tell Terry Farrell how much I enjoyed her performance in Becker. It's always fun to watch somebody. I mean, to watch, Jadzia Dax, it had comedic elements to it, but it was not, it was a sci-fi / drama kind of thing. And to watch her do comedy was fantastic. I thought she was great. Jonathan Frakes, I mentioned this for my bestie Wendy. She loves North and South, and the miniseries North and South. And Jonathan, thank you, Dave. Jonathan Frakes was in that. I believe Jeannie Francis was in that too. Terry is fab. Doug Jones. I mean, you can't go anywhere without, seeing him or hearing him. But What We Do in the Shadows. Oh my God. I haven't finished watching it yet. I am so sad that this last season's the last season. What We Do in the Shadows. If you're not watching it, if you haven't watched it, and I actually did watch the movie, and the movie was good, but I love the TV show. And I am probably a little biased because Matt Berry was on the IT Crowd. And now he's moved to What We Do in the Shadows. And I loved him in the IT Crowd. So he was one of the reasons I really, really wanted to watch What We Do in the Shadows. And then Doug had a recurring role. He's this count, and he's beautiful. And then he gets burned. So for a while, he's just a burnt vampire corpse that's yapping. But I loved that. The last one I'm going to mention, because I sort of ran out, I thought I could sit here and just go through cast list IMDb pages and find some amazing stuff that I'm sure everybody's done, but have to mention Brent Spiner, especially since he told me that's okay. Like I said, I'm trying really hard not to watch the rest of it because I just don't want it to end. Brent Spiner and Night Court, which he got before TNG and then had to leave. He was going to be a series regular. But he picked TNG over Night Court, which was a very smart move, obviously. And not only that, but he gets to come back to Night Court. Which is amazing. In fact, he told me he filmed another episode, so I'm just waiting to see if the Wheelers show up before the season's over. Oh, there we go, Brent Spiner. There you go. Brent Spiner was in 2 different episodes of Mama's Family. Will Wheaton played himself on The Big Bang Theory. I just read that. I just read a very interesting factoid about that, where he kind of had a very negative view of the show until he finally sat down and watched it. He thought it was going to be poking fun at nerds and geekdom, and it didn't. It embraced it. And then he was offered a role, and then he was hoping to play somebody else, but then he found out he got to play like an evilish version of himself. So he was quite happy to do that. And anybody that has watched The Big Bang Theory, Will's house number in The Big Bang Theory is 1701. So LeBeau is here, in case anybody's wondering. He's just making a lot of noise, but he's down here on the floor. But right now, Vader's on my left. Yeah, they just did a musical number for last week's episode. It was kind of okay. I was curious to see if John Larroquette could sing. If you're saying Night Court is fire, it is. It's really good. I do love Night Court. The original, I mean, you're never going to surpass the original, with John Larroquette in the role, bringing Dan back is, for me, what makes it. That and Roz shows up every now and then, which is fantastic. Yeah, Comfort TV. Mama's Family is fabulous. For those of you that don't know, Mama's Family is actually a spinoff of the Carol Burnett Show, which I love watching Carol Burnett and I'm watching the old Mama's Family sketches that they do on the Carol Burnett Show. Got to kind of get to go back and see where it all began. It's like watching The Simpsons on the Tracy Ullman Show. For those of you that don't know, that's where The Simpsons spun off from. Tracy Ullman actually was just in Elsbeth, an episode of Elsbeth. And I'm trying to think if I can I work Elsbeth back to Star Trek? Probably oh, yeah, there we go. Elsbeth, the actress that played Elsbeth was in True Blood, and so was John Billingsley. Boom, done. There we go. Work that one back to Star Trek. But I digress. But I'm waiting for you guys. Why don't you guys chime in if there's a Star Trek actor in a show that you like? Oh, there you go, Lasso. That must have been a high point of your life. I love Vicki Lawrence. I saw Vicki Lawrence and Mom at a 2-woman show once. Mom made fun of me, said I was undressing her with my eyes. Yeah, Tracy Ullman's fantastic. She still is fantastic. I adore Tracy Ullman. She's somebody I wouldn't mind meeting. I wish there was a way to get her to a convention. But yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. That whole cast, the original Dan Castanella and Hank Azaria. I know Hank Azaria did The Simpsons. I might be projecting him onto Tracy Ullman because he does voices on The Simpsons. But there's Dan, and then there's that other guy, and the other guy. I love it. Like Yvonne Craig. Yes, and Yvonne Craig had a very great career, had an amazing career in the 60s. And yes, she went on from Star Trek to get a recurring role in the 3rd season of Batman as Batgirl. So very good. Very, very well done. Very well done. Somebody that had, nicely done. Nicely done, Lasso. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing, and Vicki Lawrence also had a one-hit wonder with The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, which was actually turned down by Cher. Cher turned it down because she thought it was too violent. Yet she did Dark Lady, but she actually turned down The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, and the guy that wrote it was married to Vicki Lawrence at the time, so that's how she ended up with it. I wish there were breakout rooms. You guys could go have a conversation, and I'll just be background noise for y'all. That white noise. I can't believe Vader's just sitting here. All the times I've been trying to convince him it's time to come on to the show. I'm sorry you can't see him better. Let me see. He doesn't mind getting picked up. There's my little face. There's my perfect... I love having a black cat. I had one for a while, and then he passed away. So I'm just glad to have a black cat back in my life, because they're just so gorgeous, my little panthers. Come on, guys. There's not one of you out there that doesn't have oh, wait a minute. Okay, so we're 23 minutes into the show, and at about the 3-4 minute mark, I asked the big question. I asked, who could name the movie that Adrian Zmed sang in? And nobody has answered. So, Lasso, go ahead and tell everybody what movie. We all know Fooza Furry. What movie is Adrian Zmed in that he did before hitting the streets with Captain Kirk and Amanda from Melrose Place? The bitchy Amanda from Melrose Place was actually a good cop back in the day. For those of you that don't know, it's Heather Locklear. I had a boyfriend that was absolutely in love with Heather Locklear. Every time I came home on a Monday night, I got a shh, Heather. I wasn't allowed to bother him if Melrose Place was on. Grease 2 with the one and only Michelle Pfeiffer. That is correct. Grease 2. Michelle Pfeiffer doesn't even like talking about Grease 2. Grease 2 is a wonderful guilty pleasure. I love Grease 2. Michelle Pfeiffer's lead character's name was Stephanie. Adrian Zmed played Johnny. And it was a reverse Sandy and Danny. Michelle Pfeiffer was the cool lead of the Pink Ladies, and the guy that liked her was the outcast nerd played by the one and only Maxwell Caulfield, who I got to meet, who I met Maxwell Caulfield. I wish I had a picture to show everybody of that autograph. Jober! Hello! So good to see you. Oh, I won't cry. Not now. This is also a line from the movie. Stephanie, please don't cry. So good to see you, Jober. Thanks for stopping by. If you let us know in the chat if you guys have a favorite TV show that either had a recurring role played by a Star Trek actor or was led by a Star Trek actor or had a Star Trek actor in the cast, I want to hear about it. Just non-Trek. It can't be Trek, and non-sci-fi would be awesome because, like I said, it's fun to watch our favorite sci-fi people play quote-unquote normal Earth roles. Stephanie, please don't cry is a line from the movie, and when I got Maxwell Caulfield's autograph, I got him a picture that was part of the scene where he said, Stephanie, please don't cry. So Lasso said you have to get him to put that on the autograph. So he did. He put a little word bubble above his head and he said, Stephanie, please don't cry. Yes, you did, but nobody else has done it. So everybody else has to do it. Jober just popped in. So we're going to make Jober try and think of one to do. That's all I'm saying. But yes, Lasso, you did say Yvonne Craig. That was very good. That was very good. Yep, said that already. Yep, which was a spinoff of Spencer for Hire. Yes, but if that's your favorite, I can see why. Avery Brooks was so good as Hawk. I think the first time I saw, my mom loved Spencer for Hire. I watched it every now and then, but I swear, the first time I watched Deep Space Nine, I went, that's that Hawk guy. Because he always has that wonderful, distinctive voice, regardless of whether he was Hawk or Cisco. Yeah, I did, but that's okay, if that's your favorite. This is the extent of Lasso's, this is the absolute extent of Lasso's Star Trek knowledge. Most of it is from things that he can relate to, like Batman. Julie Newmar was also in a Star Trek episode called Friday's Child. Which is fine, Lasso. I love that you're here, and I love that you figure out a way to make Star Trek relevant to your life. No, I never watched Jake and the Fat Man. Again, something my mom watched, something I never got into. What do you want? I have somebody else on my lap, LeBeau. So you just have to stay down there, but I will pet you from up here. LeBeau is like the perfect little office mate. He has a bed in the office now and toys. So, I guess Dave watched Jake and the Fat Man. Yeah, like I said, you and Dave, Lasso, you guys need a breakout chat room. You can have your own little sidebars. Trying to think if there's anybody else that Lasso can relate to. Oh, well, Frank Gorshin, of course, because we've talked about this before. Let This Be Our Last Battlefield. I just saw the Enterprise episode that was the version of Let This Be Our Last Battlefield. Don't remember the name of that episode because it wasn't one of my top episodes, but it was really good. And my friend Marty has a friend that played one of the aliens that took over the NX-01. So Gorshin and Julie and Yvonne. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody. Oh, and Harry Mudd. Mark Leonard was in Mission Impossible. Mark Leonard was also in an episode, and I know this is sci-fi, but Mark Leonard was also in an episode of Buck Rogers. Took off his head. Literally, like he was an alien that could lift his head off his shoulders and put it back on. And boy, was he into Wilma Deering. Yeah, OG Mission Impossible had a lot of people. I think that's why I was having this discussion with my parents. What I loved about the 60s TV show is just so many crossover people. So many crossover people. The two actors for my favorite Monkeys episode, both ended up in Hogan's Heroes. One of them, because I talk about her all the time, Arlene Mattel, to Prang. But the guy that she played opposite with in the Monkeys also ended up in an episode of Hogan's Heroes. So there you go. There's Arlene. Arlene did To Prang. She did Hogan's Heroes. She did the Monkeys. She was all over every place in the 60s. Like I said, if you ever sit down and watch Gunsmoke, chances are you'll recognize one of the guest stars when they have guest stars, because they're all over the place. So that is what I loved about the 60s. But Harry Mudd was in an episode of Batman. It was the one-off episode. He played a one-off villain. And it was the Green Hornet episode where the Green Hornet came to Gotham. Such a catch-all. You turn around and you can see anyone pop up. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was watching randomly. I turned on H&I when they do Westerns in the early morning hours. I think it was Have Gun Will Travel. And I'm going, I heard a voice and I recognized it immediately. And then I got the name of the episode and I went on to IMDb just to show that I was right. But the actress that played T'Pau in Amok Time was on this episode of Have Gun Will Travel. I never watched that show. It just literally happened to stumble across it, and I went, "Oh shit, I know her," because she also has that lovely distinctive voice. Our laws are not binding on thee, Spock. Be thee Vulcan or be thee human. Yeah, see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so the 50s, and it's just, it's the way that British TV is today. Seriously, you can't throw a rock and watch some British something that you haven't seen at least one person in something else. The cast of Torchwood, especially the guy that played Owen, is freaking everywhere. Every time I turn around, I'm like, wait, that's Owen. Wait, that's Owen. I don't know where the rest of them went, but Owen's still popping up all over the place. Torchwood, by the way, is fantastic. It's just something that's another really good sci-fi. If you haven't watched Torchwood, I don't know why not. Even the American version, even the last season, which was on Starz in the US, was really good. And you got to see John Barrowman's naked butt. So for those of us that enjoy seeing John Barrowman naked, I don't care what team he plays for. There you go. All right, Jober's not answering. I don't know if he's Jober usually comes up with, there we go. How could I have forgotten Boston Legal? My brain is really going. Thank you, Jober. I can't believe I forgot Boston Legal. I should just end now in utter shame and embarrassment. You forgot somebody, Jober. Rene Auberjonois was also one of the partners. And they brought in John Larroquette, who, as we all know, was in Star Trek 2. Star Trek 3. See, my brain's going. How did I forget Boston Legal? I love Boston Legal. But yeah, they had Jerry Ryan, Shatner was Denny, Rene Auberjonois was in it. I think if we sat down and rewatched it, there would be other Star Trek people coming across. I loved Betty White in that. She was fantastic. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Yeah, I know. I'm going to lose my David E. Kelly street cred. I love Ally McBeal. I love Boston Legal. The Practice I didn't watch too much. Christopher Reeve was in The Practice. After his accident, playing opposite Carolyn McCormick, who was Minuet in 11001. That, speaking of Minuet, that's something else I found out tonight, literally by chance, looking up things. Jonathan Frakes popped up in one of the searches, and I knew he went to Penn State. But Google said that one of the frequently asked questions about Jonathan Frakes is, does he really play the trombone? And the answer was yes. He's been playing the trombone since he was 9, played it at the university. He played in the Penn State marching band, the Penn State Blue Band, which my father played in. And I looked it up. My dad graduated Penn State the year before Jonathan Frakes started. So they missed each other by that much. But they were both in the Blue Band. In fact, my dad got to march in Penn State's very first bowl game in 1969, which was the Gator Bowl. And for any Penn State fans out there, there is a coffee table book all about the Penn State Blue Band. Smack in the middle is their Gator Bowl appearance. My dad is in that picture. He's one of the big blips because he was carrying a tuba, so you can actually kind of see the tuba from the aerial shots. That is definitely something that is long overdue. Betty White getting her own Poaches stamp. And yes, she was on Mama's Family. She played one of Mama's other kids, right? I'm trying to remember. Carol Burnett was one of Mama's kids. Wasn't Betty White the other one? Did Betty White play the other one? I know. And Ken Berry was also an F. Okay. Wait. See, this is turning into 6 Degrees of Separation, which is totally fine by me because I always have fun doing that. Ken Berry was in it. He was in F Troop, which another one that I love, with Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch, who I missed meeting by that much. He was at a convention I was working, and I missed him at his table, and he died not long after that, which sucks because I freaking love F Troop. I can also sing the song, but I won't. Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. Yep. So so it was Ellen, and then Carol Burnett's character, and then Ken Berry. And I'm just trying to see if we could put how close we can get Mama's Family to Star Trek, since we've been talking about Mama's Family since this whole thing started. Vicki Lawrence, Carol Burnett. I mean, if you want to, in a way, I would call this kind of cheating, in a way, because it wasn't but Leonard Nimoy did do one episode of the Carol Burnett show, and I think at some point he came in dressed as Spock, but he did do one. He did. There you go. Love Betty White. Betty White was amazing. Okay, let's see. On the Carol skits, Mama had a 4th child. Oh, Alan Alda would have been awesome if he had come and reprised that role. I love Alan Alda. I think you guys all know this. Oh, right, and Brent Spiner, Mama's Family. All right, duh. It was more fun to do it the other way. F Troop, good one. Yeah, like I said, I know the theme. I could conceivably sing it. I won't. But I do love F Troop. I love all the old 60s. There's so many 60s comedies that I absolutely love. The Monkees and Batman are my top 60s shows. F Troop's in there. Obviously. Family Affair was cute, and I've met Jodie Whittaker a couple times, so I do like Family Affair, which was really cute. Partridge Family, I know, is the 70s. I like the Partridge Family. Like the Partridge Family more than the Brady Bunch, even though Davy Jones was on the Brady Bunch, but I like the Partridge Family more than the Brady Bunch. But yeah, 60s TV was so good, which is why I love MeTV, bringing back the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, because it's got MASH. And MeTV shows like the unedited versions. Like if you sit down and watch MASH anywhere else, and then you turn around and watch the same episode on MeTV has the entire episode. All the little things that got cut out for syndication, MeTV has. So that's what I love about watching. If I catch MASH on MeTV, that's what I love about it, is it's the full episode, which means one of these days I'm going to have to, on a Saturday night, remember Batman and Star Trek are both on MeTV. That was cute. Duh. Old news, Lasso. I know. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much does it. Like I said, I'm sure I just skimmed the surface, but I wanted to hit on a couple that I really love, like Desmond's. It was my excuse to talk some more about Desmond's and Dominic and Desmond's, because Desmond's was awesome. Oh, Nicole DeBoer. How could I forget this one? Nicole DeBoer was in Dead Zone, the TV show Dead Zone. Which is always, it's one of those things where they completely retconned it, because anybody that's read the book or saw the movie knows that Johnny died at the end. Christopher Walken, which was the whole point of sacrificing himself so that Martin Sheen wouldn't become president one day. But they decided it would make a really good show. So Anthony Michael Hall, main role. Nicole DeBoer played the girlfriend that he had before the coma, who married somebody else, but she's in it a lot. David Ogden Stiers. There we go, MASH again. David Ogden Stiers was in, I think, some later episodes. I don't think he was in it from the get. I just was catching it on reruns. I never sat down and watched all of it. Hey, Uncle Hairball. Fiona Flexen, who was Ambassador Valon Enterprise, was on Lost, and she did a bunch of other ST roles. Thanks, Dave. That's an awesome way to kind of wrap things up. That is awesome. Never watched Lost. Just never, ever, ever had the desire to watch Lost. I'm kind of glad because I know that the ending was kind of jumped the shark long before it ended. So just to keep you guys updated, I know I say this every week, but I literally just talked to a friend of mine yesterday who's going to try and get me this really, really cool guest. I don't want to say anything about it because I am like pushing for this to happen because I am really excited and I would love for it to happen before the end of the year. Or before the end of my season. And it's somebody like you guys are just gonna, it's not like a major person. It's just going to be such a fun interview. And out of everybody who I think is going to appreciate it, I think Dave might appreciate it the most, at least as far as I know. But Dave, I think you'll really appreciate the guest. But I'm really looking forward to having her if I can get her. So we'll see. I'm going to keep you guys posted on that. As always, if you are a patron, please feel free to send in any suggestions you have for interviews or topics you want to talk about. If you want to come on the show, I'm more than happy to invite you on to sit and just have a gab fest with you. I had Chris on. Chris was my first patron that I've had on, and I would love to do it again. I would love to have other patrons on. So if you are a patron, absolutely, I would love to have you on. Patrons always get first crack at the cool shit. Speaking of which, if you would like to become a patron, you can just scan the QR code that I just put up on the screen, if you so choose. But yeah, because then I'll invite you to the Facebook page, and we can chat there. And you can give the private Facebook page, and you can give me any suggestions for guests that you'd like to see, or make it worthwhile for me to have that IMDb Pro page so I can reach out to people. Hi. Vader just abandoned my lap for the desk. But yeah, I'm always open to topics. I am a one woman show here, guys. So any topics you can give me, even Lasso helps with my topics. We have so much fun chatting about the show. Lasso, even though he's not officially my producer anymore, he is still my go-to guy whenever I need production type assistance. So much love to Lasso, much love to all of you all for hanging out with me every week and for being patient since I did kind of last minute cancel last week's show. But everything is good. Hopefully I will be seeing you all next week. And until then, please don't forget to live long and prosper.
Hey, this is Connor Turner. You've been listening to the NX706